Have you ever found yourself convinced that something is true, only to later question whether you truly understand it, or if you've just been led to believe it? We all have beliefs. They're a part of who we are, shaping our decisions, values, and actions. But what if your beliefs aren't as solid as you think? What if you're simply holding on to ideas rather than truly understanding them? In today's video, we'll explore 6 ways to know whether you just believe something or if you've explored the necessary actions to truly understand it. It's a question that can change the way you think, act, and engage with the world around you. Do you believe or do you understand? Let's start the journey of self reflection and discover the difference. Belief can be seen as the starting point, often driven by emotions, intuition, or culture. Understanding, however, is the end goal, a more structured, evidence based way of knowing and grasping reality. Transitioning from belief to understanding requires a methodical approach, challenging assumptions, and expanding our ability to reason and evaluate information. Belief is the acceptance or conviction that something is true, even without the necessity of evidence or deep understanding. Beliefs are often shaped by personal experiences, culture, upbringing, and emotional influences. They don't always require logical justification or empirical proof to be held as true. For instance, someone might believe in a particular religion or have certain superstitions without needing concrete proof. Understanding, on the other hand, involves a deeper grasp of concepts or truths that comes from reasoning, evidence, and logical analysis. When you understand something, you're able to explain it in a coherent way, see its relationships to other things, and often predict outcomes based on it. Understanding requires critical thinking and tends to be more objective compared to belief. 6 ways to know if you only believe something or if you truly understand something. 1. Examine the depth of your knowledge. Often, a belief can be surface level, lacking detailed knowledge or reasoning. If you hold something as true but struggle to explain it in depth or provide clear examples, it's likely a belief. You may believe that hard work leads to success, but if asked to explain the underlying mechanisms, like why hard work specifically causes success in various contexts, you may find it difficult to provide an in depth, evidence based answer. If you understand something, you can explain it in detail, provide examples or evidence, and explore the connections between the concepts. Your understanding feels more like a coherent, logical framework. You understand how hard work can lead to success because you can discuss the importance of skill development, the role of persistence, time management, and overcoming setbacks with examples from various fields. So, using the Bible, we can examine our depth of knowledge of it. Do you believe the Bible is true? Well, the only way to know if our belief is true or false would be to examine it thoroughly. If you haven't examined it, then your belief is just a belief, not an understanding. 2. Look for justification and evidence. Beliefs often exist without requiring proof or justification. They may be based on intuition or cultural norms or emotional attachments. You might believe in a political party because it's what you've always heard from your family or community without actually having critically examined the policy proposals or data backing them. Understanding requires solid reasoning or evidence. If you truly understand something, you can back it up with facts, experiments, or a logical progression of thought. You understand a scientific theory because you can explain how it fits within existing models, provides predictive power, and is supported by experiments or real world applications. So, using the Bible, we need to first examine it, then look for evidence. So, my question to you is, what evidence should we be looking for? A belief would be considered, in my opinion, that the universe was made in 6 days. Adam and Eve were the only first humans, Noah and the flood, Sodom and Gomorrah, etc. These are examples, the starting points to build understanding. The evidence isn't finding genes to date back to Adam, or deciding that the fruit of knowledge is an apple, or even finding Noah's Ark. The evidence in these are concepts your brain uses to understand the world, to build on, the structure to understand how to function as a human being, how to ask questions, understand consequences, step-by-step breakdowns, the consistency of each chapter that builds upon the previous chapter. It's not just a story, a history, or entertainment. When you understand the Bible, you realize your belief is justified because of the evidence of results, not evidence of material items. 3, reflect on the flexibility of your perspective. Beliefs are often rigid and can be emotionally charged. If you hold something as a belief, it might be harder to change, even when confronted with contradictory evidence. You may defend it passionately, sometimes resorting to emotional reasoning or ignoring alternative viewpoints. If you believe in a conspiracy theory, it can be difficult to entertain new information that contradicts it because it taps into your emotional or psychological need to defend it. When you understand something, you're more open to adapting your perspective when presented with new evidence or arguments. Understanding is dynamic. It grows and evolves with new information. You can change your mind without feeling threatened because your understanding is based on reason, not emotional attachment. If new evidence rises that contradicts a previously held scientific theory, you might adjust your understanding based on the new data, seeing it as an opportunity to refine your knowledge. So, using the Bible, I ask you, are you flexible? Does it make you emotional or defensive if I say things against what you have always believed? If you believe the earth was made in 6 days, and I say, I don't believe that, are you willing to actually examine that idea? Or do you default to the surface idea that to be a Christian, you have to believe in a young earth? Why does that have to be true? If you believe that God can do anything, then why are you setting limitations on Him? Wouldn't it be more plausible that He is teaching lessons to you to make you more successful, to be a reflection of Him, than giving you a history lesson? To teach successfully, we give examples, not history. We teach how to do something, not show the end result. Showing someone a house does not give them the understanding of how it was built. If they look at the blueprints, the architect's idea of how it should be built, the step-by-step guidance of building it, then we truly appreciate the work that was put into it. The Bible is that blueprint. Look at it differently. Find those instructions, not the materials. Does it matter if the bricks are red or white? 4, gauge your confidence level. Beliefs tend to create a sense of certainty and security. When you believe something, you often feel confident in your position, even if the belief hasn't been fully scrutinized. The confidence is sometimes based on a sense of identity or comfort. You might feel certain that a certain type of diet works because it aligns with your worldview without having explored scientific studies to back up your belief. When you understand something, your confidence is tempered with awareness of its limitations. Understanding often comes with an appreciation for complexity and the possibility of uncertainty. When you understand diet recommendations, you might be confident in the overall evidence supporting it, but you're also aware that the issue is multifaceted with nuances and areas of ongoing research. By using the Bible, we can do the same thing. By understanding the Bible, we can see those limitations. We can understand it was written for a very specific people, in a very specific culture, in a very specific time. However, if you dig deeper, it is timeless. Does that mean you should follow those customs or learn the concepts that were presented? Customs or the concepts? 5, check for internal consistency. Beliefs might not always be consistent with other beliefs you hold because they're often inherited or shaped by emotional or social factors. Cognitive dissonance can occur when beliefs clash with each other or new information, but it's often resolved by rationalizing or ignoring contradiction. You might believe in both personal responsibility and wealth inequality without reconciling how they coexist in shaping individual outcomes. Understanding tends to be more consistent because it comes from a logical framework that ties various concepts together. If new information contradicts an understanding, you might reassess or refine your model to account for the discrepancy. If you understand how wealth inequality works, you can integrate it with your views on personal responsibility, acknowledging that while individual choices matter, structural factors can significantly influence outcomes. If you're born rich, personal choices are different than if you're born poor. Again, by using the Bible, we definitely see this. The internal struggle is what the whole Bible is about. The struggle of our body and our mind, the subconscious and the conscious, material gain versus ethics. Does believing the world was made in 6 days improve your life, make you happier, make you successful or wealthy? Or does learning the concepts of how to build your own world do that? 6, notice the role of emotions. Beliefs are often emotionally charged. They can be tied to personal identity, group loyalty, or emotional comfort. You may defend beliefs more fiercely when they're challenged, not because they're logically sound, but because they provide a sense of safety or belonging. You might believe in a particular political party and feel defensive or angry when confronted with opposing viewpoints, as it feels like your attack on your own identity. Understanding tends to be more intellectually grounded. While you may feel passionate about things, you understand your response to challenges is often more calm and reasoned, since you've examined the issue more deeply. If someone challenges your understanding of a scientific theory, you're more likely to engage in a discussion, present facts, and be open to differing viewpoints rather than becoming defensive. To reflect on whether you believe or understand something, you can ask yourself, can I explain this concept clearly and in depth to someone else? What evidence do I have to support this belief, and how would I evaluate its validity? Am I open to changing my view if presented with new conflicting information? By using this method of self-inquiry, you can better determine whether your stance is based on belief or understanding. It can sometimes be difficult to draw the line between belief and understanding because they both influence our actions and perceptions. However, the key difference lies in depth, evidence, and flexibility. Beliefs often feel more immediate and emotionally charged, while understanding is marked by a more rational, evidence-based grasp of things. The pursuit of understanding is a journey of constant questioning and refinement. Understanding means overcoming our preconceived beliefs and facing uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world. The more you practice self-reflection and critical thinking, the easier it becomes to distinguish between the two. Where do we learn these two important standards? The Bible. I'm Meryl, and this is Battleground. Click here for more Bible concepts, and here for more granny opinions. Subscribe and join me for an exploration of the mind. Goodbye.